Charity for me is an act of goodwill. It doesn't have to be money orientated. It's just supporting numerous amounts of different causes.
Charity is an act of person or people, an act of goodwill for certain things, like it could be toward people, animals, just to try and make a certain thing better.
Probably giving away money, typically money, to probably people less well off, but it doesn't necessarily be money, it could be your time or other things like that.
Doing something good that pleases somebody else, but at the same time actually has a long-lasting effect.
Does giving money help solve problems? This video will explore the different relationships people have in regards to supporting those in need. We will look at Band-Aid 30 and how they are helping to support giving. We also look at alternative ways of thinking that challenge the conventional approaches of charities, which in turn could lead to groundbreaking developments in fundraising.
They help out people that may not be as fortunate as you.
They all pride themselves on the fact that they're dealing with quite a serious matter in the world.
I think charity starts within the home, and it goes from small givings of things to people close to you, to giving to people on a far larger scale.
Today we are talking about the Ebola crisis all over Africa, West Africa particularly. There's a massive outbreak of Ebola. There are certain cases of it in the United States. You know what that means? White people could be getting it. That's serious. It's time to involve Bill O'Reilly.
The Ebola panic. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. All over the country, people are discussing.
What are they doing, Bill? Are they panicking or are they discussing?
Our research shows that the notion of giving alters amongst different people. We discovered that there is a complex debate underlying charity around time and capital. Using the recent Band-Aid 30 single, which was reinvented in order to raise money for Ebola as a case study, we looked to explore whether Bob Geldof and the organisation view money to be the most valuable asset in achieving the institution's main aim.
Whether or not it's the most effective way of doing that these days, I think back in the 80s, you know, when people were truly horrified by the pictures that were coming into their rooms, that time that those early newscasts were shown, virtually, and it was like truly horrified by that, and it reflected the spirit, the zeitgeist, if you want. People really wanted to. So back then it probably was the right way to do it. We know a lot more about charity and giving and working than nowadays.
How is them sitting in a studio or standing in a studio singing going to help the person in Africa suffering from Ebola? How's that helping them? Because they're going to sell a song on iTunes, and then how many people have actually bought that?
You know, look at all the people in that room. Monster stars, incredible voices. We literally couldn't fit anyone else in. So what do you do when a band like Bastille, they're just on the make, 1.5 million albums in the US, they cancel 2 stadium shows, 80,000 people, to come back from Dallas overnight, hang around exhausted till 6 to do their bit. What does it matter? That's what matters. Ed Sheeran plays Berlin, flies home, gets there at 3, goes back, does his thing and leaves for a gig that night. Bono gives up a TV show to fly in from LA. Chris Martin, you know, yada yada. That's what you focus on, the immensity of what they do.
Geldof has placed a vast amount of emphasis on celebrity engagement and the benefits they bring by taking time out of their busy schedules to record the Band-Aid track. It has been reported that he accused Adele of snubbing the new single. We pose the question, is a celebrity's time more valuable than a donation?
I'm absolutely furious that Bob Geldof had the audacity to even be disrespecting Adele and just singling her out and saying, oh, you know, she didn't want to participate in this amazing thing that I'm doing. Okay, but she's given a lot of money to charity. Like she said, she gave money to Oxfam, so just because she's given money to some other charity doesn't mean she always has to give to everything. She gave her quite a lot of money, I think. It was probably like 1.something million she gave to that charity. So why are you complaining? Like, she doesn't want to participate in your thing, but your thing doesn't. It's like an anniversary for every single Band-Aid that they've done, and that's it.
I mean, my feeling is that Adele may or may not, she may have her own reasons. She may feel like me, that maybe there's other ways of doing this that are more appropriate nowadays, or she may be total tightwad and didn't want to contribute. I don't know. Or it could have been a fix that she said, I can't do this at the moment, but if I do this, you can do this and say this, and then you'll get a load of advertising, free publicity for the thing. And that could be, if we're talking about cynical manipulation in the media, who knows what showbiz people get up to these days and why things are presented in the way they are.
Martin Luther King once argued in 1967 that love without power is anemic and sentimental, and power without love is reckless and abusive. Our research shows that the current UK economy is failing the aid system. We discovered that there are alternative ways of thinking regarding new methods of generating charitable engagement and funds.
Philanthropy is the market for love. It is the market for all those people for whom there is no other market coming. And so if we really want, like Buckminster Fuller said, a world that works for everyone, with no one and nothing left out, then the nonprofit sector has to be a serious part of the conversation. But it doesn't seem to be working.
I feel there's this often a cynical manipulation of images that after a while, sort of post Band-Aid and everything, people get sort of a sense of charity fatigue.
These social problems are massive in scale. Our organizations are tiny up against them, and we have a belief system that keeps them tiny. We've all been taught that charities should spend as little as possible on overhead things like fundraising under the theory that, well, the less money you spend on fundraising, the more money there is available for the cause. Well, that's true if it's a depressing world in which this pie cannot be made any bigger. But if it's a logical world in which investment in fundraising actually raises more funds and makes the pie bigger, then we have it precisely backwards, and we should be investing more money, not less, in fundraising, because fundraising is the one thing that has the potential to multiply the amount of money available for the cause that we care about so deeply.
When approaching this research, we briefly reviewed most aspects of charity, from its marketing approaches to social attitudes and human rights. This topic has revealed that charity is a broad subject that is perceived to be the act of giving time or money to a good cause. Our investigation currently shows that such organisations are unable to sustain themselves without either of these things. We discovered that there are alternative methods of generating interest and funds for charitable organisations which may be more beneficial in the long term. The difficulty arose when trying to understand why the UK relates to charity as a solution for all social problems and how this affects the ability to cause positive change.